Proposals to build up the government's land reserve to solve housing problems. Further comments from the CE on the UGL controversy. And Donald Trump's charitable foundation ordered to stop fundraising by New York State prosecutor.
Good evening. A public policy think tank has urged the government to speed up developing Lantau and other new development areas to build up its thin land reserve. The group, headed by former Chief Executive Tung Chee-hwa, also proposed to put in place a fixed land premium system to help homeowners climb the housing ladder. Adam Shu tells us more.
An apartment as small as this. A lengthy waiting at local hospitals. A study report published by Our Hong Kong Foundation says Hong Kong's land shortage is to blame for these anomalies, which are becoming the norm in the city's everyday life. The report says to increase its land resources, the government should build mega new towns as soon as possible in such areas as New Territories North and Lantau, Hong Kong's largest outlying island. The foundation believes mega infrastructure projects such as the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge presents unprecedented opportunities for the island, especially the area around Tung Chung, to merge into urban life.
It is extending the already disturbed coastline of the Tung Chung New Town reclamation. So we believe finishing what the government has not finished back in 2001 would be a sensible direction of land development.
The think tank also suggested the government look beyond abandoned farmland or brownfield sites, since whatever type of land it wanted to develop, it was bound to face challenges from different stakeholders. In addition, the think tank noted the community and the government are warming up to its idea of subsidized home ownership scheme. Under the scheme, when public housing occupants who have bought the flats they live in resell them later, they only need to pay an amount of land premium fixed at the time of purchase, rather than one that goes up together with the unit's market value. The think tank argues this would allow the homeowners to reap the full benefits of owning a flat, thus encouraging them to sell their units as they like. That, it believes, would increase the government's revenue, making the public housing scheme sustainable. Adam Xu, TVB News.
Fresh government data shows more than 70,000 new public rental housing units will become available in the coming 5 years. However, the pace of development is slower than initially thought, feeling concerns that will lengthen the waiting time for public housing. Elmi Long reports.
The Housing Authority revealed for the first time its projection of new public units available in the year 2020-2021. Public rental housing and subsidized sale flats scheduled for completion that year stand at 15,000. 11,000 of them will be public rental housing units. This means from now until 2021, Hong Kong should see an additional 71,000 public housing flats. Still, it's a far cry from the government's target of an extra 200,000 such units in the coming decade. A concerned group worries this could lengthen the current waiting time of 4.1 years to 5 years for public housing applicants.
The government needs to instruct the short-term policy, such as the subsidize the people to rent a house or enhance the living environment.
He urged the government to resolve the recent land controversies to speed up housing development. Elmi Long, TVB News.
Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying has defended his threat to sue Apple Daily because of allegations the tabloid made against him over the UGL controversy. He was also forced to defend the government's sports development policy because of plans to retake land from a football club to build public housing. Winna Wong reports.
More than $80 million was poured into the Jockey Club Kitchee Center when it was built. Authorities had agreed in 2013 to short lease the land to the football club, and the contract expires next September. The center only officially opened last year, but now the government wants to reclaim the land to build public housing. That has raised questions about the government's sincerity in keeping sports development alive for the city. Speaking to reporters before an executive council meeting today, Leung Chun-ying hit back. He cited the proposed Kai Tak Sports City as an example of the government's commitment. Leung said there were suggestions during the vetting process that the 28-hectare piece of land should be used for public housing, and that the sports park should instead be moved to Yam O in Lantau. But the CE stressed he personally decided to continue building the sports city in Kai Tak. Leung also said local football club Kitchi will not be forced to leave the site as it looks for a new home. The city's leader also commented on his ongoing rift with Apple Daily. He said news outlets are supposed to report stories fairly and comprehensively, and that his threatening to sue the paper for libel does not contradict press freedom. The newspaper had earlier published an editorial on the chief executive's alleged secret deal with Australian firm UGL. Leung's lawyers then sent the tabloid a letter for defamation. Wenna Wang, TVB News.
U.S. and Philippine forces began a series of joint combat drills under some uncertainty today. Earlier, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte suggested the maneuvers would be the last such drills of his 6-year presidency. Angered by U.S. criticism of his anti-drug campaign, Duterte said last week that the joint military drills would end. Still, the Philippine Foreign Secretary said no final decision had been made yet. The U.S. Embassy in Manila says it has not received an official notification about any move to scrap future drills. The joint military exercises have increased in symbolic importance, given tensions with China over disputed territory in the South China Sea. Hopes of a diplomatic solution to the conflict in Syria have all but disappeared after the United States suspended talks with Russia on implementing a ceasefire. Washington accuses Moscow of not living up to its commitments under a deal last month to halt fighting and ensure aid reached besieged communities. James Aiken reports.
The U.S. move to break off talks followed a threat last week from the State Department after new Russian and Syrian attacks on the city of Aleppo.
So it's not a decision we took lightly. The Russians made very clear that they would not cease the attacks that we're seeing, that we saw this weekend. Our main points were always clear: humanitarian access, the reestablishment of a cessation of hostilities. We felt that we came to the point with Russia where we weren't reaching the same goal.
With help from Iranian-backed militia and Russian air power, Syrian government forces have stepped up their offensive against rebel-held areas of Aleppo, bombing hospitals and damaging water supplies. The United Nations Security Council is to begin negotiations on a draft resolution urging Russia and the U.S. to ensure an immediate truce in Aleppo.
We are out of words to express our outrage at the carnage, especially in Aleppo. The brutality is unrelenting. I strongly condemn the deliberate campaign against the civilians and the health workers and humanitarian personnel trying to save them.
The U.S. will continue to communicate with the Russian military to ensure that American and Russian aircraft targeting Islamic State positions in Syria do not come into conflict with each other. But all American personnel that had been dispatched to prepare for military cooperation with Russia under the latest ceasefire agreement are being withdrawn. Moscow, meanwhile, accuses Washington of trying to shift blame onto Russia, which in recent days had tried to sustain the agreement. But now the Kremlin has raised the stakes in the feud by suspending a treaty with Washington on disposing of weapons-grade plutonium. The decision signals Russia is trying to use nuclear disarmament as leverage in the dispute. James Aiken, TVB News.
U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has accused her rival Donald Trump of being the symbol of a rigged system. After it emerged, he may not have paid taxes for nearly 20 years. But the Republican contender brushed it off, saying it showed his business savvy and demonstrated how he was best placed to introduce tax reform if he became president. Tony Savine reports.
Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton was on the offensive as she campaigned to the critical swing state of Ohio. Her campaign has relentlessly attacked Republican nominee Donald Trump for his dubious tax record and his reluctance to disclose his tax returns.
He is the poster boy for the same rigged system that he would make even worse. Just think about it. He paid zero, at least for about 20 years, we believe now, based on what we know. And he's advocating for huge tax cuts that would help him and his family even more.
Trump has not only been reeling from revelations he may have avoided paying US federal taxes for almost 20 years, his campaign is also dealing with the New York Attorney General's order that the tycoon's charitable foundation must stop fundraising in the state. That's because it violated a New York state law requiring charities that solicit outside donations to register with the office's Charities Bureau. The order follows a series of reports in the Washington Post that suggested improprieties by the foundation, including using its funds to settle legal disputes involving Trump businesses. Over in Colorado, Trump tried to spin the tax controversy as evidence of his business talent and survival instincts, all of which would come in handy if he led America.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone, which is why I am one who can truly fix them. I have legally used the tax laws to my benefit and to the benefit of my company, my investors, and my employees.
And as Clinton attacked him for tax dodging, Trump suggested she was the corrupt one, not him.
All she does is takes from you, takes from your country, and peddles influence to donors, special interests, and foreign actors for astronomical dollars like you've never seen before. It's corruption of the highest order.
Tony Sabine, TVB News.
Turkish authorities today suspended almost 13,000 police officers from duty over their suspected links to U.S.-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen. The move comes a day after the cabinet extended by a further 3 months a state of emergency declared after the failed July coup. Ankara is cracking down on a network linked to Gulen, who is accused of orchestrating the coup. He denies any connection. The state of emergency has allowed the government to rule by decrees, often bypassing parliament. Tens of thousands of people have been dismissed or suspended from government jobs. Authorities have closed schools, charities, foundations, and even medical establishments associated to the movement, and also appointed trustees to manage Gulen-linked businesses.
The Colombian government is scrambling to rescue the peace process after voters in the referendum rejected a negotiated deal by a razor-thin margin. The stunning result has plunged the nation into uncertainty. Any renegotiated peace accord now seems to depend on whether the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, could accept tougher sanctions against them. Voters say they want assurances that the rebels will hand in cash from drugs, spend time in jail, and earn their political future at the ballot box, rather get unelected seats in Congress. The United Nations will dispatch a special envoy to Cuba to help the process. The 52-year conflict has killed 220,000 people and displaced millions.
Still to come tonight in the news, 3 British-born scientists awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Physics. A suspended jail term for a woman who rammed her car through a car park wall after a dispute with her husband. And a new technology to help those who have color blindness.
Hillary Clinton may have had the upper hand in the first round of the debate, but Donald Trump says he's going to get tougher in the second round by bringing up Bill Clinton. Don't miss the second round of the US presidential debate. Live Monday morning at 9, with the same night rerun at 9:35, right here on Pearl.
想感受內在年輕，秘密就係飲康盈樂，高鈣低脂營養配方，特有3重功效系統，為不同年齡度身調配。康盈樂嘅營養有助你喺40歲起保持活動自如，到50歲加埋保持心臟健康，60歲後仲照顧埋希望醒目換腦嘅你。康盈樂，感受內在年輕。
The same hotel, the same room, but 2 different prices. Why pay more? Find your ideal hotel on Trivago. Because Trivago compares more than 200 websites, you can be sure to find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
There are times when we just can't help ourselves. Hong Kong Tennis Open 2016. Highlights next Monday to Thursday night after the news roundup. And live from Friday to Sunday at these times on Pearl.
Welcome back. British-born scientist David Toulis, Duncan Haldane, and Michael Kosterlitz have been awarded this year's Nobel Prize in Physics. They were given the honor in recognition of their work in revealing the secrets of exotic materials which conduct electricity with no loss to resistance. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said their work in the 1970s and 80s opened the door to a previously unknown world where matter takes unusual states or phases.
Former LegCo President Zhang Yuk-sing said today if Andrew Leung becomes his successor, he will be able to handle different political parties. But Zhang also warned his successor not to expect an easy road ahead.
Former LegCo President Zhang Yuk-sing had a sharing session with 20 lawmakers today. Andrew Leung, who has the support of the pro-establishment camp to become the next president, asked Zhang for some tips. Leung asked Zhang how come he is not viewed as the bad guy, even though he kicked the lawmakers out of the chamber. By comparison, Leung, who has never kicked anyone out of a meeting, is accused by the media of being harsh and that he would forcefully end filibustering attempts. In response, Zhang said nothing is easy in the beginning, but the new president has to make sure things get off on the right track. Or else, Zhang warns there could be issues of distrust among the members. The former president also pointed out that it was not entirely a smooth ride for him during his tenure.
Let me remind everybody that when I first took up the post of president of LegCo, I did not command the confidence and respect of many members in the council as well. But with the help, with the advice of the Secretariat, and with the goodwill from all the members, I think on the whole, during my tenure as president, the business of the council was conducted satisfactorily.
Meanwhile, the pro and non-establishment camps held a meeting to discuss who should be the chair and vice chair of the various LegCo committees. Before the meeting, Professional Commons Kenneth Leung said he had met with insurance sector lawmaker Chan Kim-por to discuss who should head the Finance Committee. But no conclusion has been reached yet. The pro and non-establishment camps meeting lasted several hours. James Toh of the Democratic Party said afterwards that no consensus had been reached and both sides just simply exchanged views. Commercial sector lawmaker Martin Liao added that the meeting was held in an amicable atmosphere.
A woman who rammed her car through the wall of a Two Moon multi-story car park after a dispute with her husband earlier this year received a suspended jail term today. A Two Moon magistrate sentenced Luo Guangshan to 1 month in prison, suspended for a year. Her driving license was also suspended for 6 months, and she was ordered to pay for and attend a driving course. The woman rammed her car through the wall of a car park at Wu King Estate in January. The vehicle plunged 2 floors and landed on the pavement. The mother of two had earlier pleaded guilty to one charge of dangerous driving. Magistrate Raymond Chow said despite the seriousness of the charge, the incident did not warrant immediate imprisonment. The magistrate also did not order her to perform community service because of her emotional condition. Law was suffering from postnatal depression at the time of the incident. So, Chris, what's happening in sports?
We're going to find out about a certain famous tennis player very soon. The Court of Arbitration for Sport will announce its decision today regarding Maria Sharapova's tennis future. The Russian star will learn the result of her appeal against a 2-year doping ban. Jameson Wong has more.
The 29-year-old was banned by the International Tennis Federation following a positive test for meldonium at the 2016 Australian Open. The Russian claimed she didn't know the drug went on the ban list at the beginning of the year. She also said she had been taking the drug since 2006 for health problems and wasn't trying to gain an advantage on the tennis court. The drug in question was developed in Latvia and used to treat diabetes and various heart-related diseases. It could also increase stamina and endurance.
I know that
reaction from fellow players and fans has been mixed. Some players felt the 5-time Grand Slam champion needs to take responsibility for the failed test. Since bursting onto the scene as a teenager and winning Wimbledon in 2004, Sharapova has been a favorite of Madison Avenue, becoming the highest paid female athlete for 11 straight years. Jameson Wong, TVB News.
The NBA preseason's in full swing. The Oklahoma City Thunder were in Spain to play Real Madrid. It was a high-scoring affair with the Thunder leading 65-50 at halftime. However, the two-time defending Spanish League champions rallied in the second half to send the game to overtime. The final score, Madrid 142, OKC 137. Victor Oladipo led the Thunder with 34 points, while Russell Westbrook added 18 points in 22 minutes. Football news, and FIFA President Giovanni Infantino has proposed adding 16 teams to the World Cup finals. Infantino said a decision on possible expansion could be made as early as January. Under the proposal, 32 teams would take part in a preliminary knockout round, with the winners joining 16 seeded teams in the group stages. Infantino took over the scandal-plagued organization earlier this year. Now, in other news, former USA manager Bob Bradley is set to be unveiled as the new boss at Swansea City. The Swans have won just one game this season and sacked Francesco Guidolin yesterday. Bradley is the first American to lead an English Premiership side. His first game in charge will be at Arsenal after the international break.
And finally, the Chinese university has developed a system which allows those who have color blindness to see the same things on TV that normal vision audiences see. Rachel Lang explains.
Han Chu suffers from color vision deficiency, or CVD. He can't differentiate between some of the colors. While many would see movements here, Chu just sees a cluster of round dots. It has been impossible at times for him to enjoy watching TV with his family until now. The Chinese University of Hong Kong has introduced a new technology called seamless visual sharing. It allows people like Chu to experience the same visual content with others.
By saying sharing, we means that the normal vision audience do not aware any change in the content, in the color. But at the same time, the CVD get better visions to distinguish those undistinguishable contents.
A binocular display system along with stereoscopic glasses like 3D glasses in a movie make it possible.
The stereoscopic display actually provides two views actually, one for left eyes, one for right eyes. So these are actually two display channels. So the idea of this technology is to not just use these two display channels for providing depth sense, but also the other sense of better distinguishability on colors.
Professor Wong also says this technology can be applied to a wide variety of 3D display devices. It will then be more practical for patients to share the same screen with others. Rachel Leung, TVB News.
And that's the news.
Good night.
The swamp is a scary place for most animals. But alligators that survive their first year get to serve as apex predators, carrying out a collective 2 million ambush kills each week. Tonight, Wild Florida at 9:35 on Pearl Spectacular.
Morning, Miss Clark, I think.
Clark has more than an image problem.
Classic Marcia. I am sick of her using our children as pawns.
That's a picture of you naked.
I'm not a public personality. I don't know how to do this.
Wednesday, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story at 10:40 on Pearl.
DPM sensor accurately detects your body pressure distribution, giving you a fully customized point-to-point mattress, revolutionizing sleep.
DPM, more than sleep.
Good evening. There were sunny intervals with a few showers and isolated thunderstorms. As tonight's situation chart shows, an area of low pressure southwest of Hong Kong is moving away from the territory gradually. Up to 5 p.m., temperatures ranged from 26.5 to 29.5 degrees, and the relative humidity was between 74 and 87%, light to moderate easterly winds. The current temperature is now 28 degrees Celsius, with the relative humidity standing at 79%. So, Freddie, how's the weather tomorrow? It will be mainly cloudy with a few showers, isolated thunderstorms at first, sunny intervals during the day tomorrow. Temperatures will range between 26 and 30 degrees. Expect sunny periods on Thursday. Tomorrow's air quality health index will range from low to moderate. The maximum UV index forecast for tomorrow will be about 5. And now to the latest global weather update. Cloudy in Shanghai and Xiamen. Cloudy in Guangzhou, rain in Chengdu. Sunny in Beijing, cloudy in Seoul, rain in Tokyo. Thunderstorms in Bangkok, rain in Ho Chi Minh City and Manila. Rain in Kuala